Hey guys, coming at you today with a delicious and decadent keto butterscotch pudding. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alicia and I'm a sous chef with a sweet tooth. And here we make delicious pastries, many from my time as a pastry chef, and my goal is to make the best keto desserts possible. So if you enjoyed these recipes, please consider hitting the subscribe button down there, giving me a thumbs up, leaving me a comment. It all helps my channel grow and to bring you new keto desserts every Saturday. Today, a delicious keto butterscotch pudding. Now this recipe came as kind of a realization when I edited my bread pudding with the crème anglaise recipe. That sauce was super like caramely almost with the allulose in there. And then I thought about my sweetened condensed milk recipe, which kind of tastes like a caramely sweet syrup. So I kind of combined the two and made like a custard caramel butterscotch pudding. It is super delicious. The way we're getting an extra boost of a butterscotch flavor is using Lily's butterscotch chips. But we're starting off with making a sweetened condensed milk that is really caramely flavored also. So it's like a cross between a custard and a pudding because we're using egg yolks to thicken it and make like a custard, but we're using a little bit of gelatin to set it too, so that it's nice and thick and creamy. So I have my 4 egg yolks here. I've been saving all my egg yolks from all my French macaroon tests. So I've been testing this recipe a lot because I've had the egg yolks and I don't want to throw them away. So I've been making a lot of pudding. So I got my 4 egg yolks in here. You want everything set up for this ahead of time because you're heating this, you're putting it back on the heat, you're pouring it over that, you're adding your gelatin. It's all gonna go very quick and it's pretty easy. The hardest part is letting this simmer with the allulose for about 10 minutes until it's like a little bit caramely colored. So I'm gonna turn this on like a medium low. I haven't added in my allulose yet. This is all I have left of my 20-pound box. Probably about 10 pounds. So I went through half of it in about a month, if not less time. So good investment for me because I don't run out of allulose. I'll have to re-up soon though. So we're adding 6 tablespoons into here. 3, I'm gonna lose count if I keep talking. And then 6 into our egg yolks. You don't have to be super precise about this obviously because we're not baking anything, just cooking a custard. So that's it for that. We're gonna stir this every couple minutes or so. You can let it boil away or simmer away. You want it to 190. On my regular stove, it took about 10 minutes to get to where we wanted. You just want the cream reduced a little bit and the allulose caramelized a tiny bit. That gives you a richer flavor in there. My cats are crazy today. You probably don't have to do this step if you don't want to. The butterscotch chips make it delicious. So just keep an eye on that. And then we're gonna whisk up our egg yolks and the allulose until like a pale, fluffy color. Get all the clumps out of there. There you go. Now this is as low as it's gonna go, so this is probably only gonna take me about 5 minutes to get to where we need to be. But on a normal stove, I would have it a little bit lower just so you don't take it too far. Get everything else ready to go. We have a ½ teaspoon of gelatin. This is kind of going to be a test. I did 1 teaspoon yesterday, and it was a little too thick for my liking. So I'm going to do a ½ teaspoon of gelatin. If it doesn't set enough, I'll make it 3/4 of a teaspoon. But we're going to bloom that over a... See, I don't want it to do that. And now I'm off. And 1 tablespoon of water. I don't know what to do here because I don't want it boiling over. So I literally can't get it like any lower. Just gonna have to keep stirring it. When you stir it, it tends to foam up and then reduce. I hope. Don't boil over, please. I'm gonna get my thermometer ready because this ain't gonna take long. And then I also have my Lily's butterscotch chips ready to go in a bowl with 2 tablespoons of butter. This is about a quarter cup of chips, 42 grams, because each 14-gram portion of this is 3 net carbs. So it'd be better to weigh it out just so you know you're getting the right amount. But it is a little bit higher in carbs than their other chocolates. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. And this was 1 cup of heavy cream. Don't know if I said that or not. And I'm gonna cut it with a cup of cashew milk so that we can lower the carbs but give us a couple more portions of pudding in this batch. Now we're at the simmer you want. We're good there. So I'm gonna add in our cup of cashew milk. I just wanna heat this up with the heavy cream. And then we're gonna temper our egg yolks. You also wanna have whatever bowls or parfait cups you're gonna be putting your pudding into. I purposely put this into a bowl that has a pour spout on it to make it a little bit easier for us. I'm gonna have a little strainer setting by too so that I can strain into my parfait bowls just to make sure we have no chunks of anything we don't want in there. We just want this up to a simmer. The hotter you get this, the less time it's gonna take for the custard to come up to temperature. Okay, we are bubbly. Back to our egg yolks, our sugar, our allulose. Technically not sugar, right? Little splash at a time. Make sure you get all around the edges. Once you're tempered, your eggs are hot, pour this into the rest of the cream. A little more in there. Save your whisk. You're gonna need it to whisk up your butterscotch chips. Pour this back into here, stirring. Make sure you get all of it. And then you're gonna stir this continuously until it's at 175. That is as thick as you're gonna get. You want this on super low heat so you don't scramble your eggs. It's already starting to get thick. We're probably almost there. Yep, we're there. Nice and thick. We're gonna pour this over our butterscotch chips and butter. You wanna let this sit for a while before you try stirring it or whisking it. The butterscotch chips are kind of a pain in the butt to melt. Like, they don't like to melt all the way. Definitely keep them in the hot cream before you even touch them and let them do their thing. And also put in your puck of gelatin to melt. A lot of the recipes I was just trying to use all egg yolks, and I got up to 7 egg yolks and it still was not set all the way. So I decided to add some gelatin and cut back the egg yolks a little bit. And the gelatin works, but it got a little bit too thick on my last test, so that's why we're cutting it back a little. Okay, once it has sat for a couple of minutes, start giving it a stir. You can also add, did I have salt in this? No, I have salted butter. So if you don't have salted butter, definitely add a little bit of salt to this. You can also add a little bit of caramel stevia if you want. Give it a more caramely flavor. I don't really think it needs it. Ugh. Smells like butter, like French toast. Oh, so good. Try to give the bottom a scrape. A lot of times the butterscotch chips are all on the bottom. It's really hard to get all the little specks of butterscotch in there though. I bet using an immersion blender would work, but it tends to get too foamy if you do that. And then when it sets, you have like a layer of like bubbles on top of your pudding, which isn't the best. And now, I love pudding skin, but butterscotch pudding skin isn't as good as chocolate pudding skin. So I'm using plastic wrap to put on top of these custard bowls. I think we're as melted as we're gonna get on those. Now these portions should be about 4.4 ounces or around there. And what is it? 18? So I figured it out and I didn't write it down. 18 divided by 5 is like 3 point something per serving. So I always write my crap down because I never remember those things. But I'm gonna measure all these out to about 4. Try to get as close as I can. Straining gets the bits out, but it also helps with getting the bubbles out. So this isn't the most keto dessert because it is a small portion for about 3 carbs for just like a half cup, but you really don't need too much more than that for a dessert. Maybe a little squirt of whipped cream, but it is pretty sweet and decadent all by itself. And I only have 4 matching bowls, of course. That 4.6 on that one. Do a little bit extra in all of them. Make sure you scrape your bowl. You want all that yumminess in there. Counting it right. You actually probably got more like 4.6 or 7 per. It's a little over a half a cup. Pretty full parfait bowls. Yay. Delicious. Okay, you're gonna pop all these into the refrigerator and we'll be back in a couple of hours probably to try them. Our butterscotch pudding is set. Time to try it. And I did take a little sneak and it isn't quite set. So I probably will do one more test just to make sure 3/4 of a teaspoon of gelatin will be perfect. Because a half, it's just a little too underset for pudding. But it's still delicious. I will eat it all. Well, I might not have a chance to eat it all because I have a lot of desserts. I made a tiny bit of whipped cream. I did not sweeten it too much. I put just a tiny, tiny splash of caramel stevia in it. But because the pudding is so sweet already, you really don't need a lot of extra sweetness. And you don't really need whipped cream. But I had to make it look pretty for the thumbnail. Like I couldn't just pour plain, boring bowls of pudding on there. Time to try this bad boy. It's really close to the right thickness. Caramely, buttery, creamy. Oh, the right amount of gelatin. This is going to be absolutely perfect. Like a pudding pack, a butterscotch pudding pack. So good. 3.6 carbs for this whole thing. Maybe an extra carb for the whipped cream. It's so good. I hope a bunch of you are butterscotch pudding lovers out there and give this one a try because it is absolutely delicious. Don't forget to check out my Amazon links and the blog link to the full recipe in the description box below. Give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And as always, I'll be back with many more keto dessert recipes. Bye guys.